So in this episode, we break down how to spot the difference when a seller has minimal paperwork, no clean subdivision, or missing documents. And just relax, okay? This is not the United States. We do not have escrow companies here, all right? Things don't transfer in days or weeks, okay? It takes months sometimes. It can be pretty difficult to find those sorts of properties like you do in the US, the UK, in different countries where they actually have a platform like MLS, Zillow. Okay, let's get right into this episode. Gold mine or land mine? This is part 2 and the final part in foreigners purchasing land in the Philippines. We left off with how to check ownership and all of that in part 1 of this two-part. Now it was a 3-part, but we've consolidated to 2-part. So I think you have enough information on that one. You can always refer back to that video. In the part 1 of 2 parts, you've taken care of all that. You verified everything. You're ready to do your purchase contract. Okay. Our library has customized contracts. Again, there's no charge for that. Just subscribe and make a comment in our video, and we'll get that to you. You can consult, with me. And I think the best thing to do now at this point is to formulate the contract, build it, create it, and then you and the seller can review it, look at it, and he can take it to his lawyer. You can take it to yours if you have a lawyer, or to your consultant, or you can review it. So we talk about mother title. Mother title refers to the original title, the primary title of a large parcel, perhaps, let's say, for example, and that's recorded in the ROD, the Registry of Deeds. We talked about that in the last video. It often remains undivided and in the name of a parent or ancestor, even after their passing. So this is very common in rural areas of the Philippines. You'll see this in a lot of small province areas where that generation passes on and the land is automatically left to the children. Sometimes there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 children or heirs that it's left to. And that's where the spider web begins. And that's where you really need to know what to look for, what documents to have. And you're going to be amazed that they're basically simple documents. In fact, we're putting together a PDF library on our channel, which should be done in about 10 days. And you're going to have all this at your fingertips. So now the children inherit the land. It's not subdivided, okay? They're usually large parcels. It could be 1 hectare, 10 hectare, 100 hectares. And when the owner passes it away, it's passed to the heirs, which is generally the children under the Philippines inheritance law. Now, if there's no will or it's distributed in intestate succession with all the children and the spouse having equal shares, that's usually what happens. So instead of dividing the land physically or titling it separately, the heirs usually, 1, keep the mother title in the deceased name. So let's just assume a father has passed on and the land was in the father's name. It's just the heirs, the children after the father passed, just keeps the land in the father's deceased name, okay? And they just all informally agree as a family, who gets what parcel of the land. So if it's, let's just say it's 1 hectare, each of them take 1/4 of a hectare if there's 4 children involved. They rarely update and subdivide their pieces. The only time they do that is when they're ready to sell off. Then they have to subdivide and, figure out all the documents, the paperwork. But generally, you know what they'll do? They'll put it in Facebook Marketplace and say, hey, I've got, 1/4 of a hectare, or I've got 2,500 square meters available for sale. Clean title, because generally it is clean. It's legally given to the heir, but it's mother title. So, and again, don't let that stop you completely, because there is a lot of good deals. There's gold mines in mother title. People just don't know it. Foreigners don't know it, because once they hear about having to go through paperwork and such, they don't want to have anything to do with it. They want A, B, C, and D all set up, ready to go for them to buy. Good luck with that, okay? Good luck with that, okay? I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving any legal advice here, just as full disclaimer. This is my and my wife's experiences and our opinions and how we would do it differently. So the reason why the family doesn't subdivide and get all this when they inherit the land is because of cost. The number one reason is it costs money and it takes time and they don't want to deal with it. All they figure is, hey, look, I inherited, so many square meters or so many hectares of land. I just want to sell it. Let the buyer deal with that. Sometimes that'll happen. Sometimes they will, prepare the documents. But in most cases, when you find a good deal, deals like 300 pesos a square meter or even 3,000 pesos a square meter, depending on what areas you're looking in, Negros Occidental, Negros Oriental, it just depends. Places like Dumaguete and Dowan, you're going to find that it's very expensive land out there. It's very expensive. Now, I know most of us foreigners will probably go to somebody like JRC. They'll process your title for you, and they do a great job. I've only heard good things about them. Or you'll go to your attorney. Our attorney's great with that. He knows a lot of the people at the Registry of Deeds, so that helps to have a local who is in touch with these people. Sometimes it pushes things through a lot quicker. So if you're looking at mother title, what you need to do is you need to check the mother title. Just like in episode 1, you go on the website and you check who actually owns it. And most likely you're going to see that it's a deceased person or persons that own it. Okay, which means that the best way to go in that case is, which we did on our last piece of property we bought, is do an extrajudicial settlement filing. Okay, extrajudicial settlement filing. That just simply means you're doing it outside of court. And all the living heirs agree that it does not need to go to a probate court. It doesn't need to go there. They all sign a document, and then that becomes what you take to the BIR with other documents. And I'll give a flow chart in this video as well here in a little bit. But because the extrajudicial settlement document is stating to the BIR that, and the ROD, that it's being settled. The heirs agree to settle it outside of court. So that clears the way for the buyer or buyers, whether it's a foreigner and their Filipino wife, to go move forward with it. Now keep in mind that a foreigner cannot own the land, as you already know, that I'm sure in previous videos, and you already know that probably by now. However, we do go on the deed as married to. So it'll say M/T for married to. It'll have your wife's name, MT, married to, and then your name. Okay, so you are on the deed, and that's basically to protect you for rights of survival. In case something, God forbid, should happen to your wife, you are protected where they can't just swoop in, a Filipino citizen to swoop in and take the land. And say, oh, he's not a Filipino citizen, I'm going to take this land. I'm one of the old heirs, and they bought it from us, so I want it back. No, they can't do that. And I go back to the old saying, possession is 9/10 of the law. And that really is true out here. If you have the land, you're on it, it's very difficult for somebody to claim that's my land and get a court to force you to leave. Okay, as long as you have enough documents, and that's what this episode's about to make sure. Did the seller subdivide it already? If it's 4 heirs and only one of the heirs is selling, then 1/4 of the parcel is theirs. If they didn't subdivide it yet, not a problem. You can make them a much lower offer on the property and say, look, I have to do all this work, and there's time and money involved, but I tell you what, instead of giving you 2,000 per square meter, I'll give you 1.3 or 1.4 or 900, or it just depends how much work. Basically, if you're going to do all the work, you're going to need a little bit of his support or her support with things like the death certificate if they don't have one, and you're going to order it online. And all right, so let's go ahead and go on to the Philippines statistical site, and that's PSA helpline.ph. So let's go on this screen right now, and I'll put the URL in bigger letters on the screen right there, but it's PSA helpline.ph. And when you get there, you're going to see, it's going to say order now on a big green button. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. They have next day delivery. It's probably a little bit more money. Anyway, so I'm going to click on order now, and then you'll see that through the 5 different things you can order: birth, marriage, the Senemar, death, and death. What you're going to want is the death certificate, okay, right there. And you're going to have to accept these terms. And then it's going to give you a disclaimer here that you need to have authorization to get this. So usually you have to be a family member or a representative or have some type of business with them. Now you can read through this on the site yourself and feel if you're comfortable ordering this or not. So we're going to click continue. And who's the death certificate you're requesting for? Well, it's most likely not going to be any of our family. So right here you can tell that it should be a family member that's ordering this certificate. And so you may have to get with the seller and sit with them, and you can do it with them together, or even in a virtual online screen share. So, but keep it legal. Make sure that it is a family member that's ordering this. Or a authorized representative like their attorney or somebody like that. So let's just assume it's my father here. I'll click on my father. I'll click continue. And then this is the information that they're going to ask you for. Okay, the names, the grandfather's name. So you can see this is very sensitive personal information that only a family member would probably know. Okay, so they're just giving you a little advance information to have all this stuff ready. Okay, when you go ahead and order. And again, if the seller, who is a family member, is sitting there with you or on a screen share virtual call, or their representative is, you can do it with them as well. So you're going to click continue. And then you're going to continue on with it. When it says your sex, it means, you're, let's say, the brother, the male. Then you fill all this out. I can't go much further than this. Okay, but they're going to ask for copies of an ID to prove that they're a family member. And you can see all the different ones that they ask for here, okay? Let's see. So I can't go much further than this, but it's very simple. And then you can even check the status of one. It'll issue a reference number when you order it. When the family member and you or the representative orders it, it'll issue a reference number. You can go back periodically and check it. And also just make sure that you get the authorization from the family member to go back and check it, that they're okay with giving you that reference number. Payment options, I don't know. It depends on who's going to pay for it. It could be the seller. It could be you if you want to speed the process up, right? Because sometimes in the Philippines, they'll just assume they have to go wait in line at one of the government offices, the LGUs, the local government units. So, but no, most everything right now is online. So one thing that my wife and I have learned: do not depend on the seller to do everything. If you see the property, have an agreement, even if it's just a verbal one, to say, look, with a handshake, beside the purchase contract, my cat just knocked something over, beside the purchase contract, I want to be able to be hands-on with this with you. If I have a better way to get something, for example, online, I want to do it with your cooperation, with your authorization. Things like death certificate, things like the extrajudicial document, things like, hey, where are the heirs? Don't just let him or her say, okay, I'll find the heirs, I'll get him to sign. Oh, good, that's good. But I want to know all the heirs' names. I want to know where they're at. Because one of the biggest mistakes, and it's so frustrating that I go through, is I'm always asking my wife, hey, did this guy call back? Did the seller call back? Did he get a hold of his brother or sister? There's only 2 more heirs left. Now, you get all that information, or I can't do the deal. I can't make you the offer unless I know I can be actively involved in every step of the way. You probably won't have a big problem with that. They may welcome that, and sometimes they'll say, no, it's none of your business, I'll do it. Yeah, in that case, you might want to consider passing on the deal, because even though that person can get everything, it could take them weeks, months, to do it. And if you're a foreigner, you're gonna, look, we're used to things in our country of origin getting done a lot quicker. That doesn't mean it's better. It just means it gets done quicker, but we pay the price out there for it. So just think of it this way. The process of buying and selling land here or building on it to own and keep for your primary residence is kind of like it maybe was 50, 60 years ago or even more in our country of origin, okay? So, which equals opportunity, and it equals better priced property. So the first step is to have your advisor, attorney, whoever, or you can do it yourself too. Again, I'll have a whole library with these forms here sometime late next week. But the first step one, is to draft the extrajudicial settlement document. And I'm putting a picture of that on the screen right now. Now, if you look at that document, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see known all men by these presents. And then it's just going to say the day, the month, the year. And now you only see on this sample document a couple of heirs on there. Okay, the heir name, age, civil status, resident, blah, blah, blah. And then the witness there. Okay, so the deceased, who would be the person who passed on and left it to the children or heirs or heirs above. So there could be 1, 2, there could be 5, 6, you never know how many there are. So as you can see, it just goes on to give a brief property description, the TCT number, which is on the TCT document, and then toward the bottom, it gives a brief subdivision description. So this document is going to be notarized by the living heir on here, and they're customizable too. So you can dump them in a Word document, and if you have 3 more heirs than what this document that you pulled from our library shows, not a problem. And we can do all the editing for you. Okay, we can actually be the consult on your documents for you. If it's only 1 or 2 documents you need a little bit of tweaking on, yeah, we'll just do it and make sure you get it for free. All right. Now, if you're a future member of the channel, then of course all of it's free. Okay, even the consultations are free. So that's something that won't happen for another couple of weeks or so. But anyway, so let's move on with this one. So this step here is the notice of extrajudicial settlement of estate. The notice is given to the heirs. We get the full name of the deceased. Now the reason for this is you want to file this in a newspaper of general circulation. This gives everybody notice. It's filed for 3 consecutive weeks. It cost about maybe, I think, 600 to 700 pesos. But it gives everybody public notice of what's going on. Now, this is a really important part of this step if you have mother title and you're filing an extrajudicial settlement. When I say filing, you're filing it with the BIR. You're not filing it with the court. This whole process, you skip the court. So the newspaper gets this, and that's how they're able to file the notice itself, okay? Because remember, you're going to attach the notice to that as well. So they'll file it for 3 consecutive weeks. Then you will secure an affidavit of publication and newspaper copies. That's given to you very easily. That's given to you by the newspaper after the 3-week publication. They will issue that. They'll email it to you. They'll messenger it to you, however you want them to give it to you, because that's what you're paying for. You're paying the 600 or 700 pesos for that. Okay, so once you get that and you have that, you're off to the races at this point. Okay, you guys, then you submit it all to the BIR and the ROD, the Registry of Deeds. And that pretty much just solved your problem of the difference between mother title and clean title. You now have all the proper paperwork to submit to the BIR and the ROD without a problem. So these steps are not totally impossible. Now, question about what if I cannot find any of the heirs and the seller, who is one of the heirs who's selling it, cannot find their brother, their sister, their cousin. There might be 3 cousins and this person, a total of 4 heirs that's selling, but there's always one heir who is advertising it, who is selling it and who is handling it. So that's the person that you or your advisor will be in contact with. That person, he or she's going to handle the deal to get the other heirs to sign the documents. So if you cannot find the heirs, there's a document that's called the Heir Declaration via Affidavit with Public Summons. Okay, I'll say it again, Heir Declaration via Affidavit with summons. That is a document that's filed with the court. And again, you're not going through a whole probate court hearing or nothing like that. But, you know, the seller, who's one of the heirs, needs to file that. You, again, can even supply him the document. You can pull it from our library for free. And we actually have a packet, okay? We have a packet for different types of property, for mother title, for clean title, and all kinds of things. So you can just get a whole packet and only use whatever documents that you need to use that would apply. And just relax, okay? This is not the United States. We do not have escrow companies here, all right? Things don't transfer in days or weeks, okay? It takes months sometimes. All right, Jaco, so now you're all through this. You get to the end of this, and you've got all the documents you need. The main part and the finish line is getting everything to the BIR. And of course, you're going to get some things from the ROD first, but when you get to the BIR, that's your final stop where everything's going to get taken care of. So as you can see on the screen, you're going to have core documents that are going to be required by them. First is your notarized deed of absolute sale. All right, and then you're going to need your TCT, your transfer certificate of title, and of course, if it's a conduit, it's a CCT. So you're going to need that. And then you're going to need a photocopy of the certified true copy from the ROD, which, again, you can get that right online, basically, you know, and have it sent to you to your delivery address, the original. So then you're going to get the latest tax declaration page, which should be easy enough to get. You should have that when you have the TCT, because those two things usually come at the same time. The tax declaration you can get from your city assessor's office, it says here. I believe we got ours from the ROD though. And what the BIR does is they use that to compute your fair market value or zonal value. A zonal value is like, just picture this, picture Zillow and doing an online cursory value of the land. Well, in the Philippines, they have zones and districts. They determine what parcel your zone is in, and that determines the value of how many square meters you have or how many hectares you have. So they do it a little bit differently here, but usually they'll go by the contract sales price, okay? And then the next thing is the form packet, okay? And again, we have all those forms in our library. We have the real estate sales contract in our library. Now remember, each one is different. So you have to let us know what you want in your contract. We can put it in there, and then we can add some more things if we think it's of value. So the supporting documents, okay, you're going to need is the BIR form 1706, which looks like this on the screen right there. That form, you want to try to have that completed for when you submit it to the BIR. Now, you can submit this online. Okay. And here is a shot of the portal online. We've been trying to go into it for the last week, and they're doing upgrading on it, so they're down right now. But there's district offices all over the place, okay? So might be better to take all your documents into the BIR or have a representative do it, who knows, you know, who can package it all and bring it there. When they've determined what the capital gains tax is on the property, whether your seller's paying it all, you're paying it all as the buyer, or you're splitting it, or however the arrangement is. And again, that's going to be in the purchase contract that we customize for you. And again, right now, in the beginning here, there's no charge for any of this. Just subscribe and comment on the channel, because that's worth more to us to get our channel out there and get the YouTube algorithm to push us out further, to help more expats and foreigners handle stuff like this. Contact me if you have any situations going on where you might need a little bit of assistance and you really don't want to, you know, fork out a bunch of money for a lawyer or a consult. You know, there's nothing that this channel is not to advertise that. This channel is to help foreigners, expats to proceed with caution in whatever, even our airport videos, our LTO videos, you know, about when you rent a car, buying property land. These are all buyer beware type videos. So if you want any assistance with us, let us know. If it's something simple like just a document, we'll have a whole library set up in about a week or so. But if you need it now, let me know. Contact us. There'll be a contact email and number, of course, on the page that you can if you just want to chat about something you're thinking about, or property you're thinking about. Again, I'm not a lawyer, full disclaimer. I cannot give you legal advice. Never have, never will. But I can share our experiences and our opinions, which sometimes are invaluable, okay? Because my wife and I have gone through this the past 2.5 years with different various properties, mother title and clean title. So, guys, thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it. Until our next video, God bless. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. We're just building this channel. Who's driving? What the?